So this is How to Clone a Game and Not Be a Shit by me, Lawrie Russell. So originally, 2 years ago when I dropped out of university, I remade Super Crate Box in the same way that Hunter S. Thompson, he rewrote The Great Gatsby just to get the feel of what it felt like to write a great novel. So Super Crate Box is probably one of the best indie games out there, and I remade it for the same reasons. So after I made a perfect remake of it, I started adding my own weapons to it and showing it around to people. At this stage, people were quite excited about the game because it was just like a mod on Super Crate Box, and people were interested to see what new things I had added. So you can see I added like a fluid physics system for the fire because I thought it would look nicer, and there's like a little pet kind of coding project. After this stage, I kept on modifying the game, and this is where things started to get kind of weird, where originally people were kind of impressed that I'd made Super Crate Box in like a very short time. Then after that, people were interested to see what guns and things I'd done to it. But after I started adding my own art assets to it and making my own levels and enemies, people started to get quite hostile about it, where they felt that I was being kind of disingenuous, that I was added these art assets to hide its origins, and people started saying that I was cloning games, and people were kind of dicks about it, really. Here's like some of the comments people said about the game at the time. This looks like Super Crate Box by Destro on the TIG Source forums. Whoa, this does look a lot like Super Crate Box by Ashkin. Hasn't this game already been made? That was by Doc Tuesday. You're an idiot, Super Crate Box is free. You should have stolen a pay-for game and undercut. That was by my brother. You should call it Trash TV. So I didn't even come up with the name myself for the game. This game seems like a must-buy by Redos Gomez. So obviously not everyone will have seen Super Crate Box, so some people will think that you made something original and not hate you. This game looks gay by Faggot Face 760, which is probably one of my favourite comments. So I was kind of stuck. There's like a weird uncanny valley when it comes to other people's ideas, where you remake it, that's fine. You make a modification on it, that's totally fine as well. And then as you start to get further away from the original idea, there's like a little valley section where people are kind of incensed and pissed off that you've made something somewhat similar to someone else's. Not different enough to be like its own thing, but not too similar because for some reason that's okay. So with that in mind, I tried to alter the game by removing the crates. So you can see here, whenever you shoot a slot machine, you get a random weapon. And after I did that, people said that it was no longer like a shameless rip-off, but it was still a rip-off in general. So with this in mind, I tried to get distance away from the original idea as fast as I could by remixing it with other people's games. So this is the first one I tried, which is, this is supposed to be, you can't see the title, it's slightly off. But this is Super Crate Box remixed with Left 4 Dead. So in Left 4 Dead you have these kind of horde events where loads of zombies will attack you and you have to wait for something. So here you have to stand on the button in the centre for the elevator on the right hand side of the screen to slowly come down the screen. And if you're not standing on it, it stops. And then after that I tried, this is a remix of Super Crate Box with Super Meat Boy. So, because I don't have double jumping in, I added rocket jumping in. It also has the shift from the enemies being like the main obstacle to the environment, and also the colour palette was inspired by the lava level, hell levels of Super Meat Boy. Oh, also, whenever you die, this is the point of the game where I coded in very quick respawns, although you can't see it here, but now it only takes maybe a second or so to go back. Because you know, the Super Meat Boy kind of philosophy and things is to have a very difficult game, but being very forgiving. So I've kind of taken that approach as well. After that, I tried remixing Super Crate Box with Limbo. So I've added in lighting effects here. You can see there's like a dead TV there. I don't know why the video is playing so slow. But anyway, yeah, so then the game started getting puzzles, kind of a darker atmosphere, things like that. So, at this point, this is the kind of combination that I like the most, and this took the basis for the rest of the game. And at this point, people started to be a lot more positive about the game. They covered enough distance away from what people kind of consider the clone of Super Great Box. This is a game that stands on its own pillar of originality. That was by Chris Priestman of Indie Static. This game looks beyond awesome. That was by Crispiest Bacon. I'd rather play with Dog Turds, Jokes, Chill Band Chill by David Barnes. That was on Facebook. Really interesting puzzles, reminds me a lot of Limbo. Nice job. That was by Solo Loon. So I've probably blown through that a bit quick. But so yeah, I took the approach of trying to be more like a musician, sampling, remixing, and for whatever reason, people seem to be a lot more positive about that. Like, originality from my experience, or people's perception of my originality, seems to be really about where your game lands rather than the things you aimed for or where you started. I started off as a complete remake of someone else's, and I tried to mix it exactly with the other existing ideas. And now people praise me for it, which has been like a very odd experience going through the whole transition between a remake, mod, a clone, a rip-off, a shameless rip-off, and then its own original thing. So yeah, I guess in that way, I'm kind of like a Daft Punk, but without fame or money or fans or success. But, or TV or a car, or a microwave, in fact. But hopefully these things will come in time when I finish the project. I don't have a freezer either, actually, which Morrison's at the moment has £2 for a tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. So I bought some. I had to eat it as soon as I got home, because otherwise it would melt. But anyway, where was I? I think that's it, really. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone too?
Do you have an Amazon wish list?
What?
An Amazon wish list?
What about Amazon wish list?
Who can buy you stuff?
Yeah, I could set up like a donations page, like a wedding list or something.
What language did you use to program?
It's written in C# X and A. Yeah.
If the original game had been paid for game, I think that would have made a difference.
I don't know. Muffin Knights, if you look at they're another game that kind of ripped off Super Crate Box, where you pick up muffins to get random weapons rather than crates. And if you look at any of their trailers on YouTube, they're all sitting on about 40% likes, and there's lots of negative comments saying that it's far too similar. So I don't think whether the original game, the price point of it, has much impact. And it's also kind of odd that it's odd as well that even though Muffin Knights is a much larger game than Super Crate Box, and Super Crate Box only comes with those 3 very small levels, the developers of Muffin Knights were still heavily criticised for kind of making a spiritual successor, even though it's much larger. Which is one of the things I didn't quite touch on, was that there is like an allowance if your game was made a long time ago, the game that you're like ripping off, then that's allowed. I've not experienced just how long ago a game has to be for it to be allowed, but people thought it was definitely far too close for Super Great Box. Yeah, Mike?
Do you know C++?
Yeah, I do know C++.
Do you want to do it on the Vita?
I would like to do it on the Vita.
We'll be happy to talk to you about bringing it to Vita. It might involve research microwaves.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about?
Yeah, that'd be good.
If you quite finish,
Sorry.
my turn. Do you have the guys from Bamboo seen it? Do they like it?
Yeah, I have spoken to Blambeer, and they were, when I showed them the game, this was after I'd remixed it with Limbo and said that it was inspired by. and they were very happy. They offered me to like send me any art assets or things like that, but I'd already stolen them a long time ago. So I didn't know that. JP?
Yeah. So do you think it's a little, not just age, but it's a little bit more the size of the company as well that has to do with how people react to code? I mean, do you think if you were to sort of clone the game from, say, Sega or something, people wouldn't mind as much?
So the question was, is the fact that it's still a land-based game important because they're a small company? Personally, I don't know. Zynga got a lot of criticism even though they're stealing EA stuff, and that was a huge company. So I think there's a lot of hate for anyone who does anything too similar to anything, regardless of whether you're kind of stealing from a little man or a big man. Yeah.
Why are you so keen on cloning stuff?
For me, the reason why I started with someone else's game was it was originally just as like a pet project to see if I could remake it. But one of the advantages in starting with someone else's game as a start point is that your focus is entirely on coding at first, and then after all the coding was done, I then just spent time doing new art assets. And then after that, I went more as a designer of just remixing it with other things. So in that way, as an indie, you have to cover so many different job titles. But in starting with someone else's game and then aiming for another one, it's allowed me to do them in very set steps. And also you get very clear goals with it as well. You definitely know when you've finished remaking someone else's game, whereas when you're making your own, it could just go on forever. Like Phil Fish made Fez like hundreds of times over. So, I mean, I quite like it as an approach. I probably will do it as the next one. The next game I make, I'll probably start with someone else's and try mixing games together. I think it's quite a fun way to do things. Yeah?
When you go from pet projects to getting loads of views on the internet, ripping people off?
So the question was, how did everyone know that I was stealing Sims in the first place? Simply because I told them and I showed everyone. Originally, I didn't have any plans to sell it. I just thought people would be interested, because they were at first. They were very interested in like a little mod that I'd made. I was planning just to push it out for free as like here's Super Crate Box with some other guns. But one of the very first things I did was start adding like RPG elements, and you could level up, and then it started getting into this bigger and bigger project. And I don't know, I just shared it with everyone all the way through.
I think that process of like putting it in front of people kind of affected how you were designing it.
Yeah, there was that, although I do think that was a good thing at the end. So originally I wasted a lot of time, I think, in playing around with trying to change the crate box mechanic. Like you saw, it was when you killed a slot machine, but I tried hundreds of other variations where each gun would have like a limited amount of ammo. When it ran out, you'd get a new gun. But all of these were just too similar to crate box with all the other things on top. So I mean, if I could go back, I probably would have tried to remix with other games a lot sooner, rather than taking that very slow, iterative, tiny baby steps away from the original idea. Does that answer the question? I forgot what it was. Okay. Yeah.
Right, it sounds like your design philosophy was very reactionary to comments on the internet. Did you set out with your own set of goals to begin with, or was it always to do with other people's input?
It's always really been with other people's input. I mean, I only like a few weeks ago came up with the idea of what the story would actually be, and I've been working on it coming up to 2 years now. So I don't know, that was one of the downsides, is that I never really had a clear idea from the start what I was even making, and still to this day I'm still not really sure what I'm making. But with all those comments that people sent to me, I didn't really mind. I thought it was quite funny, a lot of them, especially the DuckTales one. So there wasn't like I didn't feel pressurised by people saying negative things. I don't know, thick-skinned, I guess. Any other questions?
It's not a question, it's just a statement. It's very cool that you totally, like, the vast majority of indie games are heavily inspired by something else.
Yeah.
It's something we all kind of lie about, pretend we're innovative geniuses. And it's fucking cool that you went up there and said, no, I'm playing the game. I mean, it's badass.
Thank you. Well, thank you for listening. Cheers.